Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to round 3 of DPL. The motion for this round is This House Regrets Mental Health Influencers, and the opening can start whenever they're ready.
Am I visible and audible?
Yes.
Um, yeah. Sneha, prefer gender pronoun she or her. I'll take a POI from the closing in the fifth minute. You can drop it to me on chat or better unmute yourself. Um, Starting my speech in three, two, one. A quick framing in this debate. On SiteGov, most of the arguments that we present to you is something that's applicable for both licensed as well as unlicensed mental therapists. So, in no point of this debate can any of the opposition go and run their case only on telling that only therapist license are most of the influence, right? Because we don't believe that is likely what's happening currently in the whole influencing sphere. What am I going to do in my speech? I'm going to give you one characterization on what these health influencers look like. Two, I'm also going to give you a characterization how individuals are getting influenced by these influencers in the first place. Three, I'm going to give you present two arguments from SiteGov. Understand what these influencers are like, right? On SiteGov, we believe that these individuals are ones who are unqualified to be giving the therapy, like they're giving out on social media platforms, etc. in the first place, right? We believe that these individuals are the ones who are the kind of information that they give out, these are like one size approach fits information, right? This looks like, oh, out of the eight symptoms that I tell you, if you have five symptoms, you're likely going to have depression, right? We believe that these individuals give you information in the form of YouTube videos or in the form of Instagram reels, that is, they condense down huge amounts of topic into short form, right? We believe then the information that's being given out is very narrowed down and oversimplified in order to be put out, right? But secondly, we also believe that these are individuals who are commercializing their business, right? We don't think they're individuals who are looking at the benefit of the people or the common people in general. These are individuals who want to cater to their followers, right? They put out the content that is mostly going to be liked by the followers. Their primary incentives lie on viewership and on getting sponsorships and etc., right? So given that, we believe that the kind of content they put out is simply going to create a bubble in their channel, right? But secondly, on my second characterization on the idea of who are the individuals who go ahead and consume this content, we believe that there's two sets of individuals, right? One, these are individuals who actively go and seek mental health content on the internet. Secondly, we believe there are individuals who don't actively seek but then come across because of the large amount of content that is present. For the first set of people, we believe that these individuals are want to seek validation for the things that they think, right? Just because they're sad and they think that they have depression, they want to be validated for that thought, and they're the individuals who will go and consume content by an influencer who's already talking about how if you just are sad and angry all the time, you're depressed, right? But for the second set of individuals, we believe that every single individual is going through something or the other at every point in their life, right? They're sad about something, they have some problem at the other, they have some emotion in their body, some emotion in the mind every other point in time, right? So whenever they come across these we believe these individuals are the ones who consume social media and they have certain Instagram bubbles, right? This means that the kind of content that they consume is vastly similar to what they already believe in, right? Given that these individuals consume content like this, we believe what they come across and what they derive from what they come across is largely going to be something that's already thought about, right? I don't think just because somebody is sad and they see, just because somebody is angry at somebody and they see a reel telling that, oh, if this person treated you like this, that person is a narcissist, they're likely going to go and believe because they're now angry at the other person, right? This is the fundamental problem we identify to you as to how this influencing is leading to, right? What are the two cases we present to you? One, we go ahead and talk to you about how, given the kind of influencing that's happening on a larger scale, we believe that negative emotions are not getting a space to be expressed, right? We believe that when you have multiple people who are going and telling that, oh, if you are sad, you probably have to think about this particular thing and get better, or if you have self-esteem issues, it's probably because you have generational trauma and you need to solve those things, right? We believe then it creates a situation where individuals are not able to are not able to accept their own negative emotions, are not able to deal with this, right? We believe that just because I went through a breakup, it does not mean that I need to sit with my feelings and then deal with it, right? I would rather want to just go out with my friends, party, and get over it. We believe that these large levels of discourses are creating bubbles which are not letting you have your own way of dealing with things, etc. But understand, right? The larger fundamental problem here is that we believe that every single individual has imperfections in terms of how they feel, right? That I could be an angry person, I could be a person who is sad, I could be a person who is like in general, I could be somebody who's a little down most of the time, I could even be somebody who's a little like negative most of the time. What these mental health influencers then do is like paint you a picture of like happy life, and that if you don't adhere to this happy life, or in like in any way you're not like really happy most of the time, there's something wrong with you and you need to fix, right? On side gov, we fundamentally believe that you don't need to fix every single one of your emotion in order to live a happy life, right? We don't believe that like every single emotion you need to like deal with every single thought that comes in your head, or like every single emotion that comes in your head, or otherwise you're like a bad individual, right? If opposition houses want to go and win this debate, I don't think they can just go and talk about how like mental health is not talked about, because I don't think that's really true, and how like mental health discourse is happening, that's why they're beneficial. They have to directly go and engage with how like this whole sense of perception is happening, where like negative emotions are not given a place, right? But secondly, what is the second case? We go and talk to you on individuals who already have certain mental health issues, right? And how this is problematic. We believe that this could look like two sets of individuals again. One would be a set of individuals who are like just sad and like extremely facing some real problem in their life but don't really have mental health issues. We believe that these individuals are still going to go ahead and look out to the internet, right? Because understand, even if I have some small cough and cold, I'm going to go to the Google and be like, oh yeah, let me just Google whatever my issues are. Given that, we believe that similar thing is already happening with people who feel a little depressed. They go ahead and like listen to one influencer and hear that, oh, this woman had a breakup, okay, and she's talking about how she healed it through how she healed her sadness through like doing certain things. We believe that's the general course that most of the individuals end up taking, right? But secondly, understand, right, therapy is not something that's limited to you cognitively thinking about things. We believe that individuals who actually have mental health issues need to go to a therapist and then like have that individual listen to you for like tens of times and at like 20 sessions, etc. Sit down, cognitively put in measures that are going to deal with it cognitively, like that individual needs to put in certain systems for you to cope with what is happening in your life, right? This is the major problem. Understand that what we're showing to you is that now therapy is becoming something that is accessible, and that it's becoming something that you can do on your own, right? We think that is not true, because when like you actually have issues that you need to like talk to somebody else about, we think that now the whole idea of what your normal therapy is becoming redundant. What we then prove to you on SideGup, we talk to you about what these mass health influencers look like. We talk to you about how influencing itself is a problem. We talk to you about how negative emotion bubble is like created, and how like whole the idea of therapy itself is getting skewed. Proud to propose.
Thank you. I now call upon the leader of opposition to further take away the debate.
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be starting my speech in three, two, one. The mental health issue is not just a taboo, but a real issue in the modern era right now. We decide opposition do not regret of having the mental health influencers in this era. I'll try to put up my views and the cases on the issues of mental health issues in earlier days and now. How it's still a taboo where people are very anxious about how they'll speak on this topic, and they might get judged that they have these issues. So, talking on this, in in the earlier days, like if someone had to talk about that they have some mental issues, they were treated as some person with who is mentally retarded and someone who is mentally not sound. It was a taboo, and people couldn't speak openly about the issues that it was not considered as something serious, but just a mental something which was not taken care of much. So after, like in the today's era, when the youth, which is highly influenced by the social media, many negative things are on social media, and the thing, majorly I would say the study stress that creates the mental issues, which is very necessarily, which is like necessary to be addressed. And I would say due to the generation gap, the youth is not very comfortable in expressing their problems with their parents, and some and like to any of the person who has better knowledge about this thing, where they goes and express their things with the friends with who are also like suffering from the same problems, and where this thing gets more and more serious, and the issue like in place of resolving the issue, it gets more worse, and it might it might end up into something very serious. If I take an example of my own state, Rajasthan, where the family doesn't recognize like a child's problems, like the health issues is very serious. You can see the cases of suicides in the city of Kota. You might like hear these things very regularly, and because of that, I think the mental health influences are very necessary in today's era. So like how they help us, they build a very peaceful and I would say a very helpful community where anyone anonymously, without having an fear of being judged, they can express their views, like they have this issue and they can come up and talk openly, and they might find the people with the same issues and I would say the same problems, who can relate with them. So they'll feel a much better way to find a platform where they can express their views, and a community whom they can talk. And the modern influence, these mental health influencers are not only heard by the youth but the parents, and that is very important, because if I would say the parents are the first friend of any child. If the parents are well educated about this thing, and they know that the issue is real, they might help their child or someone very personally, and that can help the person in a better way. And the influencers, the modern I would say the mental health influencers, they are helping out the people, and like in making the ideology of the thing that mental health issue is not a taboo anymore, and they are clearing out the misconceptions that that we need to come up and speak that we have this issue, and let give people confidence that you are not someone with someone out of the community, but a part of community. Just you need some special attention. So, and also these influencers become the voice of many people who think that they might not be heard, and they help people get better from the worst in the most organic ways. Like if I would say the ideologies that they spread are not something like mostly the people can relate with, the stories they come up with, the experiences they come up with. The people are able to connect with the stories more effectively, and the people can relate to these people, and they can just grow themselves out of that situation where they are. And which I would say, because of these all these reasons, the mental health influences are very necessary. Thank you.
There is a POI and it's not the protected minutes, so if you want to take it up, that's it.
I'll take that later.
All right then. Thank you. Now I call upon the Deputy Prime Minister to further the case from side government here.
Hey guys, just give me a minute to set up everything and I'll start. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I prefer he and him pronouns, and let's just this be a civil debate and not something that we take to our homes and our heart. I'll be starting in three, two, one. So, first of all, the argument by the opposition government is completely baseless. They are talking on emotions rather than facts. In a situation where people are constantly being fed information, you can't just use emotions and just tell other people, oh no, that it's fine to be like this, it's fine to be like this. You need to use logic here. So let me start. Let's analyze the impact of mental health influences through the lens of various stakeholders. Now, the who are the stakeholders involved here? First, let me start with the mental health influences. Mental health influencers are vultures. They will prey upon you. So to say that they are building a community and then they are trying to raise their voice by using you as your followers is just a pretty stupid argument, because you are very ignorant of the fact that they are using you just for their selfish purposes, which is to make money. So to say that they are giving a voice is pretty stupid. Let me start. Mental health influencers, they prioritize short-term gains, that is increasing followers, increasing the reach, getting better good deals, they are getting better sponsors. Why do they do this? Because they think, oh, they think in the short term. They don't think over a long term, in which people who are listening to them are or may could be affected by their voice. So their focus is on maintaining a curated image and not providing a one-to-one analysis to the patient, which is required in a mental health disorder. First of all, let me be very clear with that. It's not a mental health problem or an illness. It's a mental health disorder. So they their focus is on maintaining a curated image and the promotion of oversimplified solutions and unproven remedies. This is social media influencing has never been about the scientific aspect of any kind of mental health disorders. It's just they just want to make money, and that's all. Now, lack of accountability. Many influencers, they lack formal training. They are not licensed. They lack qualifications. Still, they go over. They put a camera in front of them for 1 minute. They speak. Oh yeah, if you have depression, you have depression. Oh, eat this food. Take my supplements. If you take the supplement for 1 month, you'll be very good. You won't be depressed anymore. I'll be taking the POIs. Sorry, Sukesh. I'll be taking the POIs at the last minute. Um, they just stand in front of the camera, completely compress the information that should not be compressed, and give information in a way which is reachable to a wider audience and not to just one person, which it is required to for everyone. Let me be very clear with that mental health illness and mental health problems, first of all, they're not problems and illnesses. Second, that they are disorders, and they are a disorder on a spectrum. It's not like if I have depression and Sukesh has depression, is the same type of depression. Sukesh might need some other people, some other kinds of doctors, some other help to get his disorder rectified. I might need something else. So to just stand in front of a camera and tell 500 people that, oh, you if you use my product, you'll be very fine in the next 2 months, is completely unethical. It's just preying over the emotions of gullible people. And you just tell me, if what if one of the followers of these influencers your are your family members, or maybe if it's you only, how does it make sense that you come forward with an argument or that mental health influencing is right when you or your family member could be a victim of one? Let me take some examples here. First of all, let me be very clear. This is not that, oh, just 500 people are being affected by it or 1,000 people are being affected by it. Anyone who is being affected by it is a victim of mental health influencing. Let not the majority influence you that, oh, if 8 billion people are not being affected by one problem, the other people who are being affected by it is fine, and it's okay because they're in the minority. Let me start with a social media influencer whose name is Asina O'Neill. She has more than 500,000 followers on Instagram. What she did was she came ahead and she was influencing people to take up yoga practices, to do certain exercises and all of that bullshit. Then in the year of 2015, she left social media altogether, citing the reason that she was depressed herself. Now imagine a depressed person giving you advice on how to not be depressed. It sounds absolutely stupid, and this is not just one of the examples. I have many more examples. Everyone knows who was the lead protagonist in front of Iron Man, right? It was Gwyneth Paltrow. Everyone knows her. Everyone, if they don't know her name, they recognize her by face. Her company Goop, they publish e-letters, they publish printed magazines, they have a podcast all over to discuss how depression can be cured by using their own products. Now tell me, a A-list celebrity is telling you that if you use certain of my products for a certain amount of time, you will be cured from my if you'll be cured from my disease. It's not about depression. There are many mental health disorders which are not yet identified, or if identified, not yet defined. So to just come up with a podcast in front of more than 1 million followers and just say that, oh, if you use my 5 supplements, you will be okay and you will be cured in like 5 months is absolutely stupid. Her company Goop, they still sell products, they still make profit, they're still in motion. Now, California's Consumer Protection Office, this is not some bullshit made up organization which has acted against them. The California Consumer Protection Office sued Goop over false advertising, asserting that Goop made unfounded health claim that said that if you use some of these products, you will be cured from your mental health disorders. These are many of the examples. There is one Indian influencer, if you want to get into the Indian side of things, Divija Basin. She has
Sir,
200.
POI,
Yeah, at the last minute. Okay, at the last minute.
it is
200.
last minute.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so one simple question. How are influencers made, sir? Please explain that to me, no?
Sorry, I could not get you. Can you please repeat?
How are influencers made? How do people become influencers?
Influencers are made by preying over gullible people's emotions, which your opening speaker did the same thing. He inserted emotions in his speech rather than actually talking about the logical facts. If you talk about emotions, of course, not even you, not even me, everyone will be influenced by it. If you talk about how your family was suffering and then your family has some stigma, you know, which is not prevalent in other parts, but just in your region, and then you pray over them, of course, influencers will gain followers. That's the same thing that I'm trying to tell you. It's not that people are are giving them the platform to speak. They have the platform to speak. This What they do is they speak lies. They don't speak the truth. That's the problem here. Now, uh, the second point, the second stakeholder are the followers, which are just being preyed upon by vultures, because what these people do is they will exploit the mental health issues for personal gains and promote the products which promises quick fixes and have like one size fits all solutions. And what they will do is they'll make subscription based models. They'll take monthly subscription to help you, and they'll keep you in the loop rather than fixing you. They'll tell you, you use this product for 5 months. After the 5 months, if you're not cured, they'll give you another product to use. They'll make you stay in the loop for years to come, and it wouldn't be just you who's being affected. It's the generations after you which will come, which will be affected by it. So it's not just a present issue, it's a future issue too. Now, let's come to the actual minority in this whole saga. It's the mental health practitioners. What the mental health influencers do is they promote unproven remedies, they promote pseudoscientific treatments, which undermines the credibility of evidence-based practices which are actually advocated by mental health professionals. As your opening speaker said, that some people are afraid to come up and speak. If you are coming up and speaking to some mental health influencer and she gives you an
The
absolutely stupid
time's
solution,
up.
of course you will be discouraged. So I'll rest my case here, and I'll let everyone else go ahead and talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition to further the case from side opening opposition. Thank you.
One second. Before I go on, Akriti, I would need a minute. I will need a count for after 1 minute, after 3, after 5, after 6, and after 7. It would be really helpful if you could clap, but if not, just type it in the chat and I'll be looking at the chat. Number one. Number two, hi, Subhangi, chair. Have fun. I hope
Hello.
everybody has a very fun debate. Um, so I don't have any preferred pronouns. When we were debating, this kind of shit wasn't there. So I'm a boomer in this. So please forgive me if I talk in boomer ways. You are all zoomers here. Uh, anyway, now in starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Miss Speaker, please understand the problem that we have here, right? The problem, and that was my POI in the first place, was how are in mental influences even coming into picture? These are not these dokaudeka people who randomly turn up on the internet and are suddenly through the given of the algorithmic gods are given this platform, right? That is not how things work. For a person to become famous, he has to do some one of two things. One, he has to resonate with a certain number of people. He has to resonate with the masses. He has to resonate in his ideas, and ideology should resonate with a large number of masses to become famous. Or he has to run naked in Wankede and probably would still get famous as well. Right. And here is the problem. We are talking about a very specific group here, which my LO came out and extremely importantly told you that what is mental health. Mental health is also about an extremely personal view, which means the experiences, the shared knowledge that you would go through, the diaspora of conversations that you would go through are what makes your mental health. Your breakup with a girlfriend and that trauma dumping is also a mental health issue. It is not that these people are just coming here and talking about all kinds of ideas and things like, oh, buy my vitamin C, this thing, you'll get jacked. That is not what they're saying. Let's look at what kind of let's take their worst case scenario, right? Let's take Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty was recently exposed in a CoffeeZilla video of him being a complete not a good mental health influencer. He was shown as a lot of problems and so on and so forth, right? What was there in that scenario? Let's talk about it. First, he might be a fraud, but does that mean his lived experiences and his lived understanding are fraud? Not necessarily. They can still be debated. Number one. Number two, what were the types of subscriptions that they were coming with, which they very conveniently forgot to talk to you about? An example of Jay Shetty, an example of Ranveer Alabadia, an example of psycho theft, an example of Sneha, an example of so many people is about meditation centers. It's about self-help. It's about things like, hey, look, we will now have an entire way by which we will completely organize your work and life balance. We will tell you to drink water at such and such period of time. We will tell you wake up at 4 a.m., do yoga, get freshened up yourself, write a journal, write about what you want to do. Those kinds of ideas are what mental health influencers generally talk about, right? Let's talk general here, because a lot of exceptions are there in everywhere. For example, people are of the opinion that Rahul Gandhi is a bad political actor, but does not necessarily mean, I'll take you in the last minutes now, but does not necessarily mean that every other party, every other person in Congress party is a bad actor, right? Similarly, to speak, Harvey Weinstein is a horrible person, but does that mean Johnny Depp is also in the same category as Harvey Weinstein because they both are actors? No, right? Which means to say bad players are present everywhere. Uh, Secondly, let's talk about what and why is it important that these people are there. Two reasons. Number one, let's talk about the social stigma that was present to date with regards to mental health, right? There was a lot of social stigma that was present. There was a lot of problems that were present regarding mental health issues. There were stigmas of people calling others the R word, people calling people who do not understand this thing as you're just depressed and you have to take daru because you're depressed. There were also people who were calling each other with a lot of problematic scenarios and were just saying, hey, move on, you're a man, you're not supposed to cry. There was a lot of stereotypes and attenuations which were associated with mental health. Slowly what is happening is, due to the discourse which was present, there is a lot of people who are coming up and talking about the shared experiences. What is the importance of the shared experiences, right? The government very clearly came out and said in the OG speech, hey, this is not such a big deal because people are talking about mental health. The reason why people are talking about mental health is because of an organic understanding which came from the very people that they are trying to regret. These mental influences came out, bare their souls with their life lessons, with their understandings, with their things that they felt that would make sense, and it resonated with so many people, that those so many people came out and had the guts to come out and talk, right? And that is such an important point that they keep forgetting, that this discourse is happening because of mental health influences, not in spite of mental health influences, right? Secondly, let's understand that in the case where most players are being talked about, there is also a fact that the public is also an intelligent area. They are not stupid. They are not essentially always swayed out by opinions. Best example is the number of places where Rahul Gandhi has gotten support in Bharat Jodo Yatra is like crazy good, irrespective of the ideology that Rahul Gandhi is a stupid guy, right? He still gained masses. People still listen to him. Even there has been literal contemporary analysis on the Congress manifesto in spite of it being trolled, right? which means to say that there is a vocal majority and a vocal minority of people who will still go through the notions, which means if a person is seen to be dongi or if a person is seen to be false, it is very much true that they will still be caught out. And that is why there is a check and balance system already present before that POI from OG.
We agree that self-help activism is great, but to a point where there's like 20, 30 Jay Shetties who are telling that you need to do certain things in a certain way, drink some amount of water and work out, it then becomes a point where every individual has to go through that to get success. This is what we have a problem with.
Okay, got it. So here is the problem that I have, right? What is the problem with somebody following somebody and doing it? If it works out for them, it will work out for them. If it does not work out for them, what is the situation that will happen? Here, there are two things that will happen. One, they'll say, hey, this product is not for me, and they will go on or leave like a bad review, right? For example, if I don't like a if I don't like a particular thing that has happened to me, I will leave a bad review on Yelp, right? And I will have problems with it, and I will vocally express it. And if this expression of a vocal problem is again heard by many people, and if that becomes a this thing, that becomes a movement to oust that person from the throne that whatever they are occupying. Here is the problem. If their entire point of regretting this idea leads to what, that is the consequence that has to be talked about, right? And the consequence is plain and very simple. The consequence is that the people who now come out with shared the experiences, and even if they are not like a Jay Shetty, what if they are like a Ranveer Allahabadia, right? Then they are also called as frauds. And that is the problem that we have. They're called as vultures. They're called as people who are preying on these people while all they're doing is introducing you Surya Namaskara and yoga, guys. It is not something difficult to do. They're not telling you to take vitamin B12 supplements and take 3,000 rupees from their subscription plan, right? They're talking to you about bettering yourself. They're not talking about anything else. Secondly, let's understand this, that a lot, not everybody wants to wallow in their pain, want to go and party and do this, right? A lot of people want to come out of it because they have other shit to do. Like if you're depressed and if you're done, and it's also okay, one second, they're depressed and they're done, they also have to still go to the office next day. You by calling regretting this motion are dumping the consequence by saying that the people who they look up to are not the people who they are, and they are just vultures, which brings even more problem that they believe that now they are vultures if they talk about their trauma. And hence this leads to a vicious cycle that you are talking about, leading to next generation becoming like a previous generation. And hence we believe that even if you don't glorify mental health influences, that is completely all right with us. But the very fact that you try and go and push this idea of regret is what we have an extremely difficult problem with. And with this, I'm very proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. With this, we are done with the first half of the debate. I now call upon the member of government to further the case from side government here.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so I will start my arguments in three, two, one. Okay. So hi everyone to this very warm afternoon. Man, it's 42-degree here. Anyways, it's been great hearing to all my fellow mates. Hope you all come second. My best wishes. Well, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful that through this motion, I finally have a chance to share something that I have experienced very personally. Well, it's not a very long story, but anyways, if you have patience still after hearing four speakers, I won't take much time. Thank you, Sukeshvia, for naming Jay Shetty because oh my god, how furious I am with this guy. I was following this goat mental influencer on Instagram when I noticed a story saying he's looking to work with a small number of people to help them discover their passion, make you your mental beast, and earn income from it. I replied to that saying that I want to give it a try, just to be asked the question of how much am I currently earning, how much I need to earn to not worry about money, what my age is, and then to send a 6 minutes video from Jay, which in which he says he charges $997 for this exercise. Right? $997 for this exercise. This was revealed only before the final steps of this process. there wasn't any mention of money before they asked those questions. It made me so furious. I wonder what the true monk would think of this. Well, I don't know what social movement they are up for. If only having a million people who hear you might only hear you for and just for the sake of hearing, because they have to hear something, you are creating a social movement. Sorry, but I'm so sorry to say, but this is such a destroyed narrative. Like he mentioned that their people are intelligent, that they come to see Rahul Gandhi. If people are intelligent to come to see Rahul Gandhi, they must also vote for him. They do not cast vote for him. They just come to see, like this. Like people in India enjoy entertainment of any, they get it for time pass. They will see anybody. You all know most of these pro body influencers asking you to accept yourselves as you are. Thank God they were not there back 500 years back. Otherwise, we would have been still trading in wheats and millets. Now, let's get serious on this discussion and talk about potential risks we have with these non certified quote reader influencers. Yes, quote professional quote reader influencers. That is what they should be called. The very first one is of potential for misinformation, right? While some mental health influencers are well intentioned, some okay, they may not always possess the necessary qualifications or expertise to provide accurate information. This can lead the spread of misinformation, which could be harmful to individuals seeking genuine help and guidance for their mental health issues, right? And number two, normalization of unhealthy behaviors. Some mental influencers inevitably normalize unhealthy coping mechanism or behaviors under the guise of self-care. For example, promoting excessive consumption of alcohol or drugs as a means of relaxation or stress relief can actually destroy the condition more rather than decrease of mental health problems. And I'm not talking about Tarun Gill. There are many more here. Okay, they are also, the third problem that exists with them is they are simplifying something that is highly complex. While this can be helpful for raising awareness, it can also oversimplify the I will take it in last minute. Okay, mental health conditions that are like it can also oversimplify the realities of living with mental illness, right? Mental health conditions are multifaceted and vary greatly from person to person. Well, we have already seen this in financial issues, right? Like Ankur Wariko and like where our honorable Supreme Court itself has stepped in to grab these financial influences. Uh, I am waiting for the day when this mental health influential also get regulated as well. Like no degree, no opinion, or at least mention it for your fans who worship you that you are not an expert. They should at least do. I would have no regret if they mention it before the disclaimer that they are no expert and they are the person who is following them. They will be responsible for that vote. Now, why they do that? The question arises because there's a lack of accountability. Unlike mental health professionals who are held accountable by professional standards and regulatory bodies, mental health influencers operate largely unchecked. There is often little oversight or accountability for the advice and information they provide, which can lead to irresponsible or harmful messaging being disseminated to large audiences. Also, in a competitive
PI, sir.
landscape of, I will take in last minute. I just
Last
I
minute.
just I just have 2-3 minutes, 2-3 points to mention. After that, I will take. Okay. Also, what I was saying, in the competitive landscape of like social media, there's a pressure for the mental influencer to prioritize their self promotion and maintaining a positive image rather than being truly authentic about their struggles. Despite efforts to reduce stigma surrounding the mental illness, some mental health influencers they what they do they project some harmful stereotypes or misconception. For example, framing mental health struggles as solely a matter of mindset and or willpower can undermine the biological and environmental factors that contribute to mental health conditions, reinforcing the idea that individuals should simply snap out of it. Doing all this, I don't know why they do not consider who are the biggest stakeholder of this nuisance, the most vulnerable audience that they have, including the impressible individuals such as teenagers and young adults. Their contents can highly influence the belief and behaviors of these audiences, potentially leading them to adopt unhealthy coping mechanism or attitude towards mental health without fully understanding the consequences. Okay, so I will take the POI. So you believe that exposed is also, what do you want to say, exposed or so you believe that yes, it is also exposed? Do you meant to say that? Yes, I want to say that because I have a personal experience with them, and also the Honorable High Court of. I have. You have. Do you have? Do I have any extra minutes?
Unfortunately, the time is up, so just wrap up quickly.
Okay, so I just want to have some rebuttals. Like leader of opposition said that mental health was taboo and people cannot speak about it. इसलिए तो फायदा उठा रहे, they are making their, because you cannot say it openly, they are making a money making mechanism and asking and are exploiting you on that. Okay, and you also said that cannot share it with parents or someone who have knowledge too serious, so it will become serious, right? So even if they cannot see they cannot share it with their parents, they will have no information. That is good. Like no information is better than misinformation. Okay, misinformation will make it very serious. Like let us play a game. If I have whole opposition played on that, at least it is going to benefit some. 50% of them will be benefited, 50% may not get benefited. Okay, it's okay. Now let us play a game. If if I put two guns on your on your head, one with bullets and one with not bullets, and ask you to close your eyes, will you play that game? You might be killed, you might not. You will not play that game, right? So I hold my arguments here only. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Now I
you.
call upon the member of opposition to further the case from side opposition. Here.
Hello. Am I visible and audible?
Yes.
Okay. So myself Piyush, I'm the MO, and my preferred gender pronouns are he/him. And I'll take all the POs after the 5th minute. Take, please mind this rule. I sincerely am requesting it. And in case I make any controversial statements, I'm issuing trigger warnings beforehand. So I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. So panel, understand we live in a society where when you say to someone that you have mental health issues, you have a disorder, you have a problem, they say, be strong, you are a man, this is a taboo, this is nothing but your incompetence. So the fault is given to us. Now, second point, the whole opening government and closing government sites are on the assumption that these influencers are influencers who have something related to like being a salesperson for products, for like to sell products and all. Let me tell you, mental health influencers are those influencers who talk about mental illnesses, self-care and emotional wellness. These are professionals, these are self-care influencers, these are creators who have experienced through those situations, who are just giving their analysis of what they have gone through and what they have done to cope up with. Now, let me take you to the current status quo. What is the current status quo? Mental health issues are taboo. This is the assertion. Why? Because like when we go to our parents, we say, oh, when I say that I have ADHD. My parents, my close relatives, they are like, no, you don't have ADHD. It is your problem that you are not attentive. So people around me are not able to accept that I have ADHD. I have a mental disorder. So this is a taboo. This is the current status quo here. Now, one more thing. I have ADHD. I consulted a psychiatrist. But there are many people who because of the fear of the society, they hesitate to go to mental health professionals. And as a result, some of them they commit suicide. There are many cases of people committing suicide as recent as 2024. Now, now let us take why this happens. Firstly, because of the social structure. We surround ourselves in situations since our childhood, be it bullies from school, be it rages from hostel, be it violent relationship, be it like an unstable marriage, etc., etc. That is the core reason which the whole opposition was not, the whole government was not able to bring to the fore, and not able to acknowledge what the current status quo is. Now, why we should uh, why we should not regret these mental health influencers? First thing is accountability. These people, they have, as said by the government, let me take those points. Influencers, they are people who have a good number of subscribers, good number of followers. So when they have those good amount of followers, they are like, if they say something wrong, they are bound to face backlash from social media. Then secondly, the social media is not just about like noob influencers. There are noobs, there are pros, there are pros. If someone says wrong, there are people who can rectify it, who can correct it, who can correct the content. Thirdly, there is government accountability. People can sue these influencers in court if they spread misinformation. Now, let me tell you the capitalization which was brought up by the government themselves. So, capitalization happens in every aspect of life. Initially, we didn't have water bottles, and we didn't have price on water, we didn't have price on land. So eventually, we are buying Bisleri, we are buying Kinley, we are buying Aquafina. The capitalization happens everywhere. You can, and being mental health influencers are becoming a consequence of mental health startups which are helping people. You have startups in India, you have startups in the world who help people in coping up with mental health issues. You have like you have conferences, you have everything there. Then thirdly, let us come to the stakeholders, which the government had half-heartedly told. Firstly, women. Women, especially who are working, they have exceptionally high burden on them to take care of the house, to take care of their job, and they don't have time to go to a psychiatrist physically to express their problems. Where will they go? Influencers, people on the internet. That's the point. Second stakeholder, LGBTQ plus community. As recently as 2023, there are people from LGBTQ community who have acknowledged that they have mental health disorders. They had their own self care mechanism. They had their own self care mechanism to cope up with it, and they shared on social media, which is proving helpful for other people who are suffering through the same situation. Thirdly, influencers themselves. Influencers, they are nothing but, as I told in my definition, they are people with experience, they are people with degrees. They have experience in these aspects of life. So yeah, so because of this, they are the best people who can get short and concise information about this. Then fourth one, most important, teenagers. The group of people from 12 to 19 who, like majority of these group commit suicide. Why? Because they are going through depression, they are going through mental health disorders like ADHD, OCD, and all those things. So they have mostly, these people, they don't have anyone to talk to these things. Parents are working, they can't trust on relatives, and when they speak about it, they are labeled as special kids who have they are labeled as kids who have their own problem, and it is not a result of a disorder. So where will they go? They have access to social media. Influencers are the best people here. Now coming to one point which I felt it was somewhat offensive, that the opening government says that influencers are vultures. Let me tell you one thing, influencers, if you are talking about social media influencers, I can somewhat agree. Mental health influencers are not vultures. You said they prey upon it. Let me quote a line from one of the influencers who wrote in her book. Let pearls drop from your words. You are an oyster of love, kindness, and truth. Tell me, where did she prey on the audience who are reading her book? She is also a mental health influencer. She also has millions of followers on Instagram. So, like, just tell me, where did she like say that say these lines as a vulture who is preying upon the victims? Um, Time up. Okay, so yeah, so that is my case, and I'm proud to oppose this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I call upon the government whip to close the case from side government. Here you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vishal. I'm from the government whip, and I am here to close the case. I request a timer between every minute, and great speech to everybody before me. I'd like to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. First, let's look at the stakeholders here. First stakeholder, vulnerable people. Okay, now vulnerable people are on this platform so that they can get distracted from their real troubles. Now, these are people who already have a mental illness, be it depression, be it ADHD, autism, it doesn't matter. What they are here for is a distraction. Now, what we are essentially doing is that is these social media therapists are doing is trying to appeal to these masses, appeal to these huge demographic of people who have various issues, which is what the opening opposition mentioned, that these people resonate with masses. Therapy is not about resonating with masses, it's a one-on-one talk. It's when you talk with the therapist, you have your personal issue that you expect a personal solution for. So what are these what is the use of appealing to these masses? Now, next point that the opposition mentioned, that is, let's just take Jay Shetty. Now, in the previous month, a huge issue arose, and Twitter was complete in fire when Jay Shetty was accused of lying about his past experiences. To quote the opposition, stories they come up with and experiences they share with people. How are you going to trust these experiences and these stories if they are built upon false lies? Why would I trust a liar to help me? Okay, and as Jay Shetty, as the opposition has already said, was accused and proven that he was lying on certain things, that just makes this whole scenario a lot worse. Now, where the OG fails is in establishing two major things. One, social media influencers do not have certification, they aren't controlled by norms or any kind of oaths. Because let me tell you, every therapist who has done basic psychology, whatever, has to take a oath. An oath that is also governed by the government to not leak any kind of secrets or information that is shared with the therapist. These online influencers aren't accustomed to follow any of these. They can leak your chats, they can do anything. They are not held by the government to anything. And yeah, sure, you can sue the government, but how many people are actually going to go for it? And these people are rich enough to get out of the case by paying through money. We've seen that a million times in India. So how is that going to be helpful? And another biggest point that the opening government has failed to mention is that, as my member mentioned, is that as per recent High Court law of Karnataka, these mental influences are not allowed to go ahead and preach whatever their thoughts are and whatever their wishes are to the online platform, and they can be, severely penalized for this. Now, where the closing opposition mentions government accountability, I had already rebutted that by saying that they're gonna get out of the case with money. Let's face it, this is reality. And also, misinformation causes way more harm than you are not giving information. Misinformation of a person, okay. Biggest question to the opposition: are you gonna trust a surgeon who does not have a accreditation or a certification, because I wouldn't. Why? Because my life is on stake. Of course, I'm not going to trust the person. So how are you going to tell me a guy? I can put a certification in my bio, and I would become instantly a therapist on this platform. How am I going to trust this person? So, a simple scenario. Let me paint you a picture. I'm a depressed person. I come home. I'm looking at reels, and now I'm going through my social media every day, and I see some therapist, mental therapist on the social media platform telling me that just because I'm depressed, I'm stupid, or I'm, whatever you want to call me, coward, scared person, whatever, and I do not deserve to, keep staying in my room and whatever. I am at the edge of breaking down. You're putting someone at the edge of breaking down, and you're telling him that he's a coward. He's gonna take his life. That's what this is. We are talking about mental health. Somebody who's people who are in basically at their edge of their seats, trying to just breathe every moment. You can't put this on them. So coming back, I would like to first point out every point that is mentioned by my side and why we would take the case, and then I can take POIs. We mentioned three major points: monetization of vulnerability. Uh, we are essentially taking these vulnerable people as our target audience, and selling them products as a propaganda, or spreading your own philosophies, even in cases. And yeah, in during this, it's just monetized for likes, TRP, what may be. And biggest and one more big thing is teenagers tend to romanticize everything, and now we're going to give them, showing that this is depression, this is life. And how sure are you that the biggest target audience of your demographic, which is teenagers who are gullible, who cannot even yet decide, make major decisions for themselves, how are you going to give them, telling that people go through depression? They might start doing it because we follow what adults do, and if adults are depressed, a teenager is going to think, oh damn, I'm going to be depressed. It's the biggest regret of this is that these influencers have started a trend of this a trend of this whole romanticization of this idea. And uh, we talked about certified professionals being out of job because these people are trying to take out their starting their own jobs. And any other POIs? Yes. What's the POI? Why which is more popular? Your parents telling you to get over it is definitely not as harmful as somebody as a reel, because these are your parents. Okay, end of the day, you still know that they care for you. How do you know some random guy who's making a reel still gives a shit about you? They obviously don't. And the question here is, the opposition also mentioned that this is a better way to handle something that is taboo, while it's not. This is a topic that should not be spoken on a social media platform, which in general in Indian society at least is not taken as a huge deal. So this is the wrong place to talk about this. Okay. With that, I'd like to rest my case, and that is why I think we as the O would take this case. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. Now I call upon the opposition whip to close the debate. Here.
Hi, Chair, and hi, my fellow speakers. Panel, just give me affirmation if I'm crisp and clear and loud enough and I'm visible to you all.
Yes.
Okay, so fine. So I stand and I speak here as the opposition whip, and I do not have any preferred gender pronouns. My preference of POIs will be in the chat box, and panel, please give me a minute count at 5 and 6 minutes. So I'll be starting with my speech by giving the rebuttals, and then I'll be fleshing out some points, and I'll be clearing how we take up on the debate. So I'll be starting my speech in the self countdown of 3, 2, and 1. Panel, understand what the whole discussion revolves around, and what the government side and the opening half comes and talks about. Panel, understand when the opening government comes and talks about the unlicensed and licensed therapist being and social influences. Well, understand social media influencers are those who have who have a very wide reach. And panel, understand when the OG comes and clearly states that they give a simplified solution. Panel, understand that there can be some similar triggering issues to a day-to-day commuter or a teenager who faces say, similar issue in his day-to-day life, which causes him trauma and which makes him feel low in his part of life. Where are you going to find that solutions? The impact which we are going to create by promoting these social media health influencers is that they'll get a simplified version for a very easier and for a small cause which causes them trauma. Well, understand when they when they come and talk about that so-called uh, hypothetical issue, they completely revolve around that uh, uh, revolve around the bubble. Well, understand when you term these problems at a problem or a bubble, when what basically you at your end by not promoting such things are trying to do is you just pricking up the bubble. Well, understand that pricking up that negative bubble is not the ultimate solution of that problem. You are not going to eradicate or eliminate the root cause of that issue. Well, understand that there are problem, but when you just clear out that bubble, or when you just clear out the least hope of getting problem resolved, you are just pushing people into the dark with no scope of help, where the opening opposition has clearly proved upon to you that these topics and these mental health issues are still a stigma and still myth and considered taboo and in many modern societies. Well, understand and understand the conservative countries and conservative places where still it is not being talked about. So social media is the place where you can at least find a problem. Well, also coming to the closing hub, when the CG comes and talks about and so gives you an example of so-called and so termed social media influencer, when he was about to be getting, I'll take the PO in later up, where he was about to be getting in getting trapped into his so-called propaganda or so-called being sold a business or so-called programs. Panel, understand that we do have a wise audience. If that was a fraud and he clearly didn't opted for that program or didn't opted for that situation, so what this is mean that this clearly shows you a clearer picture that if you do not wish to opt, you still have a choice to opt out from that situation. When I understand when the DPM comes and terms influencers as vultures for using for their own benefit, when I understand when they clearly come and also the government whip comes and talk about that how and why people resonate around them. Well, understand that if I'm a fitness freak, if I'm a follower of cricket, I'll only resonate around with the people who will promote cricket, who will promote fitness and so-called extra terms. I'm not going to revolve around the people who are promoting baseball, who are promoting basketball. So people who do resonate with these health influences are people who are actually in need of this solution. Panel, it is a basic problem which government brings down their own case. It is a problem. That is the main reason why people want to associate with them. That is the main reason people are associating with them. Also, panel, coming up to the example which the government side gave you and gave a very cunning example that this is a game of uncertainty and a 50% chances. Panel, understand by promoting these things, what we are doing is we are promoting things and on bringing up things underground onto the ground. Well, understand by giving a simple analogy that there was a time when nobody talked about stocks, nobody talked about foreign investment, but when these influences came, they came and talked about these are getting influence. Also, when they come and talk about the accountability, the government side gets scissored upon on their own point when they clearly state that there are multiple influencers who are getting nabbed and who are getting collar held by the government, and also their products are fake. Well, understand that there is a regulating body. There is a regulating body who keeps a regular check and control basics on the product which they are offering, also which on the programs which they are being sold. If you feel that you are being you are getting fraud or you are getting robbed, you have an option to take the legal window. Why they are forgetting that? Also, understand when the opposition comes and brings up the community buildup, panel, understand that this is going to help up in a better person. Panel, understand what the current status quo look like, which my first speaker of the opposition side in the closing half talked about, that there are more than 95% people who don't go to seek advice even if they are on the verge of breakdown, and they are on the verge and harder stance, they lead to extreme steps like suicides. And if this goes on for a longer time, I'll take it later. Panel, understand that this is the current status quo. Just give me a second. Well, understand that Owen never explains you these reasons, that these things happen because of the social structure, power dynamics that is prevalent. Example: bullies in school, raggers in college, abusive husband-wife relationships, toxic parents, social narratives which are deeply rooted in the society. Also, the so-called society deeply rooted structures that are being, that you are a man, you have to be strong. Well, understand that social media influencers have a good amount of audience, and they are creating a wide diaspora of boosting up economy. As when they promote their programs, we get more sponsorship, we get more mental health promoting startups which boost up their economy, which my speaker has clearly talked about. Well, understand the stakeholders that which are greatly into this picture: women, LGBTQ people who are being marginalized on the daily basis, teenagers who are being daily bullied by the college seniors or by any other people. So then understand, just give me another second. And also I would like to flesh upon the capitalization of mental health issues. Well, understand that earlier water was not sold, and now it is being sold. People give the 10 rupees and buy the solution. Earlier water was free to everyone, but now when you need water, you have a window to give and pay and to get it whenever you need help. So this is the main this is our main point, which is figures. Just give me 30 seconds extra. So panel, in the end, I would like to summarize and give you points as in where we take upon the other places. We clearly give you upon the economic boost. When influencers partner with brands or companies, they ensure that products or services promoted align with mental health values, do not exploit or manipulate their audience vulnerabilities. Also, panel, understand that selecting or choosing our product is a personal choice, and when the whole of the government side came and talk about the accountability, they failed to understand that the legal window is still open, and you can grab that uh, you can grab and hold the collar neck to that influencer or that product based service which they are terming so fake. They are being nabbed and they are being held accountable for that, and they are being put behind the bars. Also, what we bring up to you the table is that while we promote such things, we break up the stigma. We are bringing up to the problems to a ground where it is being talked upon, and also how it is boosting up the economy and how it is creating a better world. With that, I rest my case and I'm proud to oppose.
Thank you. With this, we are done with the debate. Just give the panel some time to deliberate the verdict. Okay, all right. I think now it's time for the verdict. It was a very nice debate, and after much deliberation in the panel and discussion, the verdict is as follows. And this was unanimous that the opposition bench takes it. And going first to last, we have the CO, which takes the first. Then we have the opening opposition, followed by opening government, and then the closing government. So that is the verdict. And the reasoning behind this is as follows. Why we think first the opposition takes it over the government is because the opposition was able to better characterize the debate as compared to the government. They told me that influencing is not just about selling products, but it's much more. They also were able to substantiate a lot more and bring in a lot of unique points that I think the government missed to either tackle. And the substantiation of the debate by the government was not uh, as good as that of the opposition, although the government did bring in a lot of brilliant points. And now, going from last to first, why we believe the OG takes it over the CG is because the CG's case was very heavily influenced by what the opening government had already said. A lot of their points were, although extensions and very nice extensions, but they were all already in a way or other covered by the opening government. And the government whip did bring in some new points. And since it was the government whip, we were not able to give them enough credit for the point, because there were new points that were not discussed earlier in the debate, like the point of how vulnerable people are already worried, and how they are the people who are uh, actively searching for such content, and these social media influencers try to appeal to that audience and try to romanticize that whole point. Was a very beautifully and well put across point, but that was a new point that was brought about in the whip speech, and it cannot be given credit. And other than that, the member of government also got in a lot of points, but again, all of them were mostly just extensions of what the government had already said. And their rebuttals were really great. Now, moving on to why we believe the OO takes it over the OG is because the opening opposition was better able to characterize and drive the debate in a certain narrative, uh, and in a certain direction, as compared to the OG. The OG had a lot of brilliant points, like why and who consume such content, and who these people are, whether they're listed or whether they're unlisted people, and how they actually influence people, and what impact this influence has on people. But when the opposition comes and tells me and characterizes that the opening opposition comes and tells me that there were days before where people were not able to talk, and now even if they are able to talk because of somebody, even if they are able to say point fingers and say that they are wrong, there is still a discourse that is happening because of these influencers, because these influencers uh, were available and consumed by the masses, right? So that was one point that stood out. And also because they were able to say that it's not just about the products that they're selling, it's not just about, say, books that Jay Shetty is writing, or it's not just about certain pills that they're trying to sell. They came and told me that they're also selling a certain lifestyle. They're telling me to meditate or just take a deep breath, and that is not something that they're capitalizing on. That's just something that we're expected to do, but we forget in our everyday hustle bustle, right? So there were a lot of points that stood out from the LO, that the leader of opposition and the deputy leader of opposition, that the opening government was not able to rebut. Now, coming to why we believe the closing opposition wins over the opening opposition, it is because they were the team that was able to best characterize the debate. They told me that they were able to tackle every point brought about by each team in the debate individually. They were the ones who told me that if water can be capitalized, why not this? They came and told me that uh, pricking the bubble is also all right, uh, and it's not the ultimate solution, because if you are calling it a negative bubble and you're trying to prick it, and if you're rejecting it altogether, or you're pushing people into the dark with no help and nobody to talk to, even if they're talking to people, and if it is negative, which is again an extension of what the O already said, there is still some discourse that is happening, and that is important to us. And they also came and told me that that uh, people do not believe you even when you have been diagnosed by a professional, because people are ignorant. There was an example of ADHD that was given by the member of opposition, that people are not believing you even if you say that I've been diagnosed by a certain professional. So if you start rejecting these people altogether, then this entire discourse is moved and people won't believe me anymore, and there'll be a fear that we cannot seek mental health, or they spoke about the social structure that exists. And because of all of this, and because of a lot of unique points that stood, CEO takes it over the O. And for further feedback and explanation, we shall have it later on. And I think that is all. We can have the clarifications on a Google Meet. The link will be sent to the teams. And thank you.
I would like to thank Shubham Didi for giving us her time today and sharing this round. Thank you so much for that. I'd also like to thank all of the teams for coming up and giving their best in all these rounds that are happening. We wish you all the best for the further rounds. And like Dee mentioned, we can head over now to the Google Meet for further clarifications if the teams have any. Thank you for tuning in. We will now see you for round 4. Hope you all have a good day. Thank you so much.